I'm doing this video for my husband, James Lewis Smith. He was a Vietnam veteran, and earlier this year, he lost his life to the effects of Agent Orange poisoning. I'm also doing this video for all the other veterans who have lost their lives. But first, I would like to address all the families and friends who have lost someone to war. I have one simple question. Does it ever get any easier? My Jim's been gone over 7 months now, and I find that I think about him every minute of every day. I find at times I must try to make myself not think about him because it breaks my heart so much to be without him. And if I don't let myself think of him, I can cope easier. But at the end of the day, I know he's not coming through the door. He's just not coming home. Sometimes I try to trick myself and I pretend we've had a really big fight and that he left me. But after 43 years of marriage, I know that's not the case. He would never leave me. He loved me too much. So that doesn't work either. And the loneliness and the ache in my heart returns because I know he's not coming home. So then I wonder, as he was sick, I wondered as I looked in his eyes and thought about what he was thinking. And as I looked in his eyes, and I wondered as he was asking me if I was going to help him heal, and exclaiming that he was not going to die, that he was not going to leave me, and I wondered how I could go on. And how did I look in his eyes and lie to him, knowing if I told him the whole truth, he would withdraw and give up on life completely? How did I look in his eyes and tell him the retirement is not in his future, the one we planned for so long, and all that was left was death? And how did I look in his eyes and tell him the trips that we planned, the Grand Canyon, and all the other things he wanted to do after he retired was simply impossible because he fought for our country and he lost? How do you cope day in and day out? I see the world hurting and I worry. I worry that more children will meet the fate of my husband and so many others. I worry that the pain and stress of yet another war is going to only leave us with thousands and thousands more wounded soldiers that our country simply can't and won't take care of. How about the countless families who will be where I am in their future? The wives without husbands, and the husbands without wives, the children without parents, and the parents without children. When will it stop? The circle keeps getting bigger. I cry for the future and those who are not aware of what is in store for them. But I know. I've seen it firsthand. I live it every day. It seems to me as I look around, the only ones who truly care for the veterans are the veterans themselves, along with their family and friends. And this is unacceptable. This is truly not acceptable. They did not go over and fight for our country to be forgotten when they returned home. We want to continue to send new generations of children to fight. Do we not see the suffering and loss of life, not only through death, but through lack of resources when they return home? Many of our veterans are out on the street, homeless and sick, without family and friends and no medical care or food. We are adding more children to this problem, and I am so fearful we will not help them either. I am afraid for our youth. I am afraid for their families. The hate and oppression within our own society gets stronger every day. Our country is becoming increasingly disrespected now, and that makes our soldiers disrespected where we send them to war. And for what? A lifetime of health issues and very little money? You see, most of our young enlisted soldiers make basically poverty pay. They are not meant to have families. So how can we continue to pay politicians absorbent paychecks month after month after month and retirement checks for the rest of our lives when so many of the young people who fight for our freedoms have nothing? How can we do this with a conscience? Why do they deserve this? Our veterans continue to cry out for help, but it is to deaf ears. The care that was promised is unavailable. The government has lied to them. They are suffering, and that's just not right. There are at least 22 veteran suicides every day. How can we let this happen again and again and again? They are the ones who keep us safe, and this is how we repay them? This is a sad country if we continue to deny help to those who are willing to give their lives so that you and me and our kids and our parents and our grandparents and our family and friends can be safe. I don't want to believe that of our country, though. It's time to come forward and really help our veterans. Not just talk. No more promises. They really have had enough of those. They need medical services promised. They need compensation promised. They need the research to help the families that are stricken by ailments from war problems such as Agent Orange that is generational and being passed down to the children and the children's children. They need someone to fight the many problems our newer veterans are facing as they return home. They need someone who will fight for them, and they need someone who will fight now. It is the responsibility of our country to do this, and the time has come. How can we continue to stand by and watch as we send more kids off to eventually face the same destiny so many before them saw? It's time for everyone to do something. It's time to make a difference to those who made a difference to us. And the time is now. For the love of Jim.